This is FYI on your TV, brought to you by Hometown News. I'm Kathy Botham. I have got Rebecca Rafus back with me from Kempville.
That's right.
You were here just a little while ago.
I was.
Yes.
Kind of talking about the same thing.
Yes, and here we are again. Here we are again. And we're talking about an event that you've planned. It's a huge event. And it's going to be huge for the area of North Grenville, too. So let's get right at it. You are with Limestone Psychotherapy.
That's correct.
And DiversX is hosting this event.
That's correct. So DiversX is a kind of a branch of Limestone Psychotherapy. It's a group of 4 volunteers who kind of took this initiative on last year. Even though all of us have been working in this industry or in this specialty for a really long time, but we just decided to come together, and so DiversX was kind of born out of creating this conference.
Excellent. And the conference itself is called Beyond the Label Conference.
That's correct. So this is our 2nd annual Beyond the Label Conference. So the first one last year was more about just breaking out the awareness to neurodiversity and what that actually means, and helping people in our community fully understand all the elements of ADHD, autism, trauma, and so on. And so last year our conference specifically focused on just that deep awareness, and so introducing people to all the facets of these areas. We had great speakers that came in and kind of illuminated that theme, and it was really well received. So we've decided to do it again, and so this year our theme is universal design. So we're going to be focusing on helping participants still get the awareness that they still need, but also give them an expansion to how they can now integrate integrate all this knowledge into their homes, their workplaces, their schools, their policies.
Okay, now I know it would take a whole day to explain what neurodiversity is,
can.
but can you explain it quickly to the people listening right now?
So the best way I would describe a neurodivergent human or neurodiversity is basically it's a catchment or a label. That's why we're trying to go beyond the label of just a different neurology of experiencing the world. Anyone who falls under that neurodiverse umbrella is somebody who experiences the world more sensory related, or just in a different concept of perception and cognition. So it's really important for us to truly understand that not everyone has a neurotypical brain that can easily just do things the way that the brain was built to do. So when you're born with a different neural makeup, you are experiencing the world differently. But the problem is our society isn't equipped with the right information anymore. It used to understand it a little, and then it's just started to expand, and we've had a huge influx in the last 5 years alone. We've had about 60% hike in diagnoses of specifically ADHD and autism. A lot of that was because of the changes with the pandemic, people being at home more, we're not as distracted. So all of these symptoms and traits started coming up. People were unmasking, is the word we use. And so we had this influx of just, well, I don't know what's going on with me. And if you are living with a neurodiversity and you don't quite understand what's going on, it can be really disorienting and cause a lot of grief and a lot of obstacles. So the whole purpose of us doing Beyond the Label is, one, because we want to have people understand that while labeling works in the medical industry and in the medical realm of care, it doesn't necessarily work well in the social realm of care, because socially we get all that stigmatization, we get all that misunderstanding, we get the lack of visibility. So we're trying to kind of have people understand that this is just a difference in operating, not a disorder or some type of a medical diagnosis needing. People will be able to understand themselves by attending something like this. They'll get a deeper understanding of how to navigate their own world, and then also advocate for what they need in their workplaces or their homes or in their schools, and then expand that outward to then helping more. And that's kind of what we feel DiversX is about. It's really about causing a wave of information so people don't have to be spending thousands of dollars to figure out how to help themselves, because it's expensive, you know. Just to get a diagnosis is $3,000 to $5,000, and some families just don't have that. So their child or themselves are living without proper supports. And I just can't imagine what that would, well, I can imagine what that would be like because I've done it myself. That's why I'm part of this team. And everyone in our DiversX team all have lived experiences, which is why this is something they're so passionate about and why we do this for free, because it's something we really just want people to have access to.
Right, so the Beyond the Label conference is opened up from everybody from the doctor, family, educators, to the person themselves.
Absolutely, yep. We want anyone that works with or supports or just lives with someone who has neurodiversity to just be there, because you're going to walk away with some type of aha moment or some type of just great awareness for what someone in your life needs. So if you're an educator, if you are an employer, if you are a hiring manager, if you are a parent, you know, come, because the people in your life that are neurodiverse are going to be grateful that you're taking this step and diving deep into understanding them. Because what we really need is validation, right? What someone living with neurodiversity needs is visibility. They need to be understood. And we've failed at that grossly. So this is kind of why this has become such a popular term. And so we're trying to kind of just keep that momentum going and have people really, you know, again, dive deeper into the integration. We have a lot of the awareness and inclusion going on, but what's the gritty integrating piece? That's what today, or not today, but that's what our conference is going to be about.
And I mean, when we learned about ADHD, you know, 20, 30, 40 years ago, autism, all the neurodiversity diagnosis, we've learned so much. And we've got to change with it as we go. And,
exactly.
And, you know, back then, you weren't seen. You weren't seen. Now, no, you're part of the community. You are, you know.
Even back then, you know, from a medical perspective, the labeling of ADHD, let's say, was damaging. It was harmful.
Yes.
Even though it was unintentional. You know, it was
got put in a separate classroom.
Exactly. It was very stigmatizing. So we do have a greater, deeper awareness. We've had so much beautiful research that has come out in the last 10 years to help people understand. For example, women. We've had again, part of that 60% hike in diagnoses were late aged women, 30 to 40-year-old women who were getting diagnosed because their children were getting diagnosed, and we now understand the genetic component to everything. And what we learned was that women and girls weren't even considered in the research up until about 10 years ago. And a lot of that was because they were worried about how their presentations would skew the data that they were trying to get or they were trying to earn. So we've got great research on that now. You know, there's a lot of talk about the menopause going on too with ADHD, because ADHD worsens with menopause and perimenopause. So that's another reason why women are getting late diagnoses too. So we're going to talk about that too, and the gender biases and things like that at the conference. That's going to be one of the things that the DiversX team will talk about. We're going to be talking about trauma, because that's a big component to living in a world that's not made for you. And we don't understand trauma either. So the main thing I think people need to remember is that everybody living with a neurodiversity is functioning from a neurology perspective. It is a sensory thing. So it's a lot of their nervous system dysregulation that's happening and less cognition. So we have to be looking at that. We have to be looking at their body and what their body needs. So again, we're hoping that people will take away a lot from our conference. One of our speakers, Lorraine Driscoll, she's going to be talking about that brain and body connection and tying it into some of the IEP, which is an individual education plan for those who don't know that lingo. You know, talking about all these components, and she's going to just blow people's minds. She always does. She did last year too. And we have Tess Clifford, who's coming from Kids Inclusive. And so she's wonderful, and she's going to be talking about how we can make our clinical spaces and our homes more neuro affirming.
Right. And you're speaking too.
We will be. So I'll be speaking on behalf of the DiversX team. And that's where I'll be talking about the overall kind of understanding and awareness, but then expanding into the gender biases and the trauma.
Okay, and in between your speakers, yourself and the other people that you just mentioned, you have some workshops going on.
We do.
Yes. Peter Young with Virtual Encounters.
Yep.
I've got Kathy Ann Lehman with DiversX.
Yeah.
Let's see here, panel discussion. I like panel discussions.
Yes,
too.
we are going to have a panel discussion.
From inclusion to integration.
Yep.
And workshop number 3, empowering neuro-inclusive change with the NAP toolkit.
Yes. So this year we decided we wanted to make things a little bit more body friendly, meaning we didn't want people sitting in the theater the entire time.
Right.
Last year we did that, and we thought, hey, we're here talking about neurodiversity and we're not being really neuro-affirming ourselves.
Right.
So, we want it to be a gentler experience for people. So we're trying to change it up so that we can have a speaker, but then we're moving our bodies. We're going to a separate room, sitting in a different chair, having different conversations, networking. So Peter Young is going to be bringing an interactive VR system with him for demonstrations on how companies and homes and parents can use the virtual reality to help with learning skills and job skills, all these wonderful things. So he's great, and we're excited to have him for that. Kathy Ann Lehman is going to be doing an interactive game to help people understand the journey of a neurodiverse person in regards to, hitting their barriers and their obstacles, and also what giving them an accommodation could do for them. So we're hoping that'll be a really nice, perspective shifting experience. And then we're going to be, the NAP toolkit is basically just a takeaway that we want everyone to take home, and it's going to be a tool for them to use to help them assess their own spaces and evaluate where they can better accommodate or integrate, as we talked about, all the things they learned from the conference.
Wow, you say these aha moments. I keep thinking this is a free event too.
Yes.
This is free.
This is free.
Free parking, free event.
I'm going to be shocked if
you're
people
going to
don't
be
fill
filling
the
them.
seats.
Yes, I know. So how many people are you hoping to come out to this?
Well, we have space for, I believe, up to like 200 people.
Yeah.
So we're hoping to fill the seats completely. Again, we want people to just know who's out there, who's part of this, just coming and feeling
Absolutely.
a belonging with a community that understands you, right? That's the key thing we want for people. Visibility, understanding, and just feeling supported.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You want people to register?
Yes.
Okay.
So we do have an Eventbrite link because we do need people to register so we can account for food and all the stuff that's free as well.
Yes.
So we will have some local bakeries and some local companies who will be providing food for the event. Well, not providing, but they're going to be, bringing us some delicious yumminess. So that's all going to be provided. So you're going to have full bellies, full minds, and hopefully full hearts.
Absolutely.
And we're really looking forward to people just coming out and being part of this shift that we're trying to create for all those people who deserve to be seen and heard and understood.
All right. For more information, how do they find you?
So the best way to find us would be probably on our websites. So you can go through the Limestone Psychotherapy website, or you can go through the DiversX website. They can actually email us too. It's rebecca.diversx@gmail.com.
Okay.
It's a new one. And the diverse is spelled, X is spelled without an E. So it's DiversX.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Excellent.
I'm sure you'll put it up on the screen. But
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you very much for joining
thank
us
you for
today.
having
Coming
me.
from Kempville, all the way from Kempville again today to do this.
Thank you so much.
This sounds like a wonderful day.
Yeah, we're really
Wonderful
excited.
day. Starts at 8:30 in the morning, right?
Yep, 8:30 in the
4.
morning. Yeah, we're going to have a gentle, entering and starting officially with speakers at 9 a.m.
Right.
And
May 24th.
May 24th.
May 24th.
Yeah.
This
Thank
sounds
you.
wonderful. Thank you very much for being here today.